You have reached review time with Imperial, and today's review will be Deadpool and Wolverine. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Let's get into it. So, where do we begin? If you've been following the Marvel series and into all superhero movies, you couldn't wait for this movie. This movie did not disappoint. It's what you thought it was going to be. Deadpool, Wolverine, action, fighting. This recap, this review is not going to do it any justice. Go to the movies and see it. When it comes out on a streaming platform, watch it again. It's definitely rewatchable. You might watch it. It hit on all cylinders. It was good. A lot of cameo appearances. Oh man, they did a great job. They put a lot into this movie. So pretty much I'm gonna just give like a real brief summary, not giving my normal play-by-play throughout the whole movie, because you just gotta go see it. There's so much that goes on. You remember at the end of Logan, Deadpool showed up at the end, so it kind of picked up in that scene where he showed up at Logan's grave. When he showed up at Logan's grave, he digged Logan up, but all it was there was the skeleton, the antimonium skeleton. So at that point, you had, from Loki, the time people that travel. So they showed up and wanted to bring Deadpool in. So of course, he, in his humorous fashion, he takes the Wolverine skeleton antimonium, break it up in pieces, and proceeds to fight the time men. And so when he begins to fight the time men, he beats him down or whatever. So what happens, it fast forwards in a different timeline where he's no longer Deadpool. He's a car salesman, and it's his birthday, and his friend at the car salesman pretty much talks to him, and then he gets a surprise birthday party. He's no longer with his girl, and he has all his friends there. The old lady that's blind that he lived with, she's there. You have Colossus there. A lot of the people from the that he befriended along the way. So that's his world. In his world, he's pretty much cool, even though he doesn't have his girl no more. She's there though, but she moved on. He get a knock at the door, and it's the Time Variance Authority. So what they do is they capture Wade, bring him to Mr. Paradox. So he proceeds to tell him, of course, Wade is making a bunch of jokes and saying, "You need me, I'm going to be an Avenger." So he's hyped that he going to be an Avenger. He said one thing, because he didn't have his gear, he had regular clothes. So he got linked up. He got a brand new suit. So he's making his quirky jokes the whole time. So it keeps you entertained the whole time. And so he pretty much tells him that his timeline and his world, basically his multiverse world, is getting to be extinct, and the only way to save, he pretty much could get out of that world and go start a whole another world, but only way he could potentially save his world is if he gets a Wolverine. And so Mr. Paradox is pretty much telling him he need to just go into another world and forget about his people. But he has a picture with all his friends. That's his world. So he's not trying to. He did some sneaky timeline stuff that brought back his girl and everything like that. So he's not trying to give that up. So he's steals like the time machine thing, and he goes into a bunch of different time multiverses and trying to recover a Wolverine. So he runs into a bunch of different Wolverines, and they all fight him. And so he eventually run into one at the bar, and we all seen the trailer on that one. And this Wolverine is a drunk and passed out, and so he brought that Wolverine back. And so when he brought that Wolverine back, Mr. Paradox pretty much was like, you brought the worst Wolverine that you could bring. This Wolverine pretty much destroyed his world. So you brought the worst one back. By this time, that Wolverine sobered up. And so what Mr. Paradox did, he pretty much said, I gave you a chance. So he sent them to like the void in the borderlands, kind of like the Mad Max Terradome type stuff. So he sent them there, and when he sent them there, they was rivaled by a bunch of people. And then Chris Evans show up. So Deadpool's thinking he's going to show up as Captain America. Now people got to remember Chris Evans in the Marvel Universe played in the Fantastic Four as Human Torch before he was Captain America. So Wade is thinking that Deadpool thinking he going to turn into, the Captain America with the shield and everything, and then he lit up in the sky as the Human Torch, and he was like, what? And so then Pyro was there, so they brought Pyro back from the X-Men Origins, brought him back, and so he pretty much flamed Human Torch out, and Toad came in and hit a magnetic force and pretty much knocked Wolverine and Deadpool out. And so they took them to their main headquarters person. Now this is an interesting that they brought in. They brought in Cassandra Nova. So she is the twin sister of Professor Xavier. So comic book heads, they know this whole storyline. I always say I'm a novice to this, the superhero world, but I do research. So Cassandra Nova, she was Professor Xavier's twin sister inside of the womb, but she didn't come out of the womb. Only he did. And so what she did, I think she did something where she, as a fetus or whatever, she was able to take her mind and put it in another body somewhere, where Xavier, he came out. She didn't. Like, so she supposedly had died at birth, but she took her mind and put it in another body somewhere. So all this time they think she had died or whatever. So Xavier never knew that his twin sister lived or whatever in this universe. I think in the comics he found out, but in this universe he didn't know. So she's running this whole Borderlands and killing people. So she killed Human Torch with ease, just sucked his soul out body. He just was nothing but flesh and blood. And so she threw Wolverine around, and they eventually did their thing and they escaped. And once they escaped, they ended up in like the forest somewhere, and end up being rescued. And so when they end up being rescued, when they woke up, this is where the cameos start coming in. So when they woke up, they ran into Elektra. So if you remember, the old Elektra had a movie, but it was like by Jennifer Gardner. She played as Elektra, but it was like a bootleg movie. It didn't do well, so they had to redo it when they did the Daredevil series on Netflix. They had to redo it, but when she did that movie, it was like bootleg. It didn't do too well. So they brought back her as Elektra, Awesome cameo appearance. They Bart and Blade, Wesley Snipes, Blade. Remember they was uh, um, Ali was supposed to be the new Blade. I don't know what's happening with that, but they brought Wesley Snipes Blade back. Man, that's man. You know, Blade started it all back in the late '90s with the Blade movie. None of us, well, people who was really in the comics and stuff, they knew, but at the time we just was looking at Blade as a movie by Wesley Snipes. We wasn't paying attention that was an actual Marvel movie. So nevertheless, they brought Wesley Snipes. Shout out to Marvel for bringing Wesley Snipes and giving him a shot. And he showed up with the gray beard and the gray streak in his box. Man, that was love seeing that. That was an awesome cameo. Then they brought back they brought Gambit, and they brought back Shannon Tatum as Gambit. Now he had a funny accent for because Gambit's supposed to be from like New Orleans and whatever. And I don't recall if I thought it was a different actor that played as Gambit before. But they don't do Gambit. It's just do like Gambit. They were supposed to do a Gambit movie at one point. Because Gambit really is an awesome character, but like in a movie they didn't make him as good as that he could have been. But on here you got to see some of when they do a good real good fight scene. You got to see some of Gambit's like things that he could do with the cars and stuff like that. So it was awesome. So their mission is all of them together. He convinced Wolverine to link back up, and so also the Laura, who was like I think she was like X-23. She was in the movie Logan. She was a little girl at the time, and Logan saved her, but she was like created off of his DNA. And so what they were thinking was all of them four plus Wolverine and Deadpool, they go back and fight Nova, but they can't get into her mind. So what their thought is to get Juggernaut's helmet. Cause see that helmet, that Juggernaut, cause they was like, tell me you got a Magneto helmet. So they like, nah, we don't got that. So Juggernaut wore that helmet, and Professor Xavier could never get into his mind. That's his Professor Xavier's brother as well. So he could never get in Juggernaut's mind because he got that helmet on. So they was thinking, oh, if we get that helmet off of Juggernaut and we put it on Casanova, she won't be able to control our minds or whatever. So nevertheless, they get there, the big fight. Everybody's fighting. They do a diversion with Cassandra Nova. She's not paying attention what they doing. They get Juggernaut's head, throw the head up. She thinks Deadpool's dead. He gets the helmet, finally put it on her head. When he put it on her head, they was like, zap us out of this world or whatever. And she was like, no. So Pyro was making a deal with Mr. Paradox that he could take over pretty much if he kills Cassandra Nova. So he shot her, but in order for her to live, she got to take the helmet off so she can rejuvenate. And so Wolverine pretty much said, I knew your brother, and if he was a stand-up guy, and if he knew I was here, he wouldn't want me to let you die. So he pretty much told Deadpool, take the helmet off. He was like, if we let her go, she gonna kill us instantly. So when they took the helmet off, she pretty much didn't kill him. She created you know how they what's the name, Doctor Strange and them, they the Chinese guy that creates the time warp with the circle, whatever that's called. They do that, and what that does is allow them to go into another timeline. So they was able to go into that timeline and to save the day. This where another fight scene comes in play, where they fight in a bunch of multiverse Deadpools, and it really showed Wolverine going berserk mode, killing a bunch of. It looked, the Wolverine in this, I guess the stuntman looked kind of funny. It didn't really look like a Wolverine. It just It looked like kind of goofy. Like I don't know if you be seeing them videos that be on YouTube or Wolverine that regular people be dressed up as Wolverine. It looked like that. It didn't look that good when they had Wolverine doing that. But nevertheless, it was okay. You get through it. Nevertheless, they fought a bunch of different Deadpools from a bunch of different multiverses, and they all rejuvenated. And then throughout the movie, it was this dog, funny looking dog with a tongue that kept running to Deadpool, and one of his variants. It was their dog. And he pretty much was like, if you ever die or whatever, I love to take over the dog. Now, one thing that I left out is that Wolverine and Deadpool, they do have 2 fight scenes that they get it in, and pretty much they both can rejuvenate. So Wolverine is stabbing him with the claws a bunch of times. Deadpool is shooting him, stabbing him with the knife, and they do it 2 different times. That's when I said they end up in the forest. They fought again right there, and they fought all night till they passed out, and then that's when Elektra came and pulled them into safety. But nevertheless, so the fight scenes is choreographed well. You will not be disappointed in the fight scene. So back to them fighting a bunch of Deadpool. So back in there in Wade's in his universe, his best friend Peter came in with his suit, and all the Deadpools knew Peter and pretty much was like, oh yeah, he's cool. And so they didn't want to fight Deadpool no more. So what they finally did is made it back to the main headquarters of the time variants, and they made it to the headquarters where Casanova, I said Casanova, Cassandra Nova, she was in there to take over the timeline, and she's using her powers, zapping the energy. Mr. Paradox pretty much told them that one of them has to go down there and pull dysfunction, what she's doing, but it's too much energy and pretty much you'll lose your life. So Wolverine and Deadpool go down there. Pretty much Wolverine is like, listen man, say hello to your friends, you do this, and I'm gonna make this sacrifice. I'm cool. Basically, I live my life or whatever. So at the last minute, when Wolverine's go into the room, Deadpool hit him, clipped him, and knocked him back, and locked the door and said, "I got it. Tell my friends I love them." So Deadpool is pulling the energy source, and it's taking, of course, it's eating them up. This whole time, Wolverine is punching through the door, trying to get through the door. He eventually punches through, and so by this time, Deadpool is trying to touch the other side. He really ain't gonna reach it because the time is almost running out. So what Wolverine did was grab his hand, and Wolverine reached and shot out his claws so he can reach the other side and pull the other energy force. So both energy forces was running through both of them. So it wasn't supposed to allow them to survive, but because it was both of them, and they both got rejuvenational healing power, and allowed them to survive the energy force, which exploded Cassandra Nova. Of course, she ain't did, but it exploded her, and it corrected the timelines. And in the beginning, Deadpool told Wolverine that if he helped him, he'd be able to allow Wolverine to go back in his world and correct what he did in his world. So the head lady of the time variance pretty much said, time variance authority pretty much said what he did, and that led him to come into this world and do a good deed. So he pretty much he good now. So now Wolverine, they're pretty much telling them like, y'all mission has just begun. Pretty much you pretty much letting everybody know we're gonna see them again in another Marvel movie. So it ended with that long lost dog found his way back to Deadpool. Wolverine and Deadpool is pretty much parting their ways, but then Deadpool was looking at Wolverine and just was like, hey, while Wolverine was walking, basically, he's a loner. Like come join the family. So it just showed Deadpool and Wolverine showing back up the Wade's apartment with the old black lady that's blind and him sitting down and hanging out with the family. So it was a decent movie. In a nutshell, I pretty much gave the overall summary of what took place. Real good movie. Definitely go watch it. You won't be disappointed. Out of my 4-star rating system, I give this a 4 out of 4 stars. I'll be interested. It'd be interesting to watch a bunch of different videos to see how people critiqued it, to give it something lesser than that. But it hit all cylinders and it didn't disappoint. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Till next time, tell me what you think if you watched it.